Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Making the Turn podcast. We watched the US Open last week and we have the Travelers Championship this week. Welcome back. Toby, what an awesome week of golf we had last week. We were there Friday, players trying to make the cut, battling to be in contention. What an awesome week. Any initial thoughts about the US Open before we
Yeah,
dive into it?
first off, it was amazing being at the tournament. Shinnecock, I mean, it looked great on the TV, and in person, it was even more special. Yeah, I had a great day, followed a bunch of groups, a lot of main groups. Actually saw the Wyndham Woodland DJ pairing a lot.
Awesome
And
pairing.
yeah, they were getting after it. Yeah, all in all, great time at the actual Shinnecock Hills golf course. And then had a spectacular time watching on Sunday. Yeah, we'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what Toby just kind of mentioned is that the TV doesn't do the course justice. Like the slopes, even the fairways, I don't think there's a single flat fairway out there, and it's hard to tell on the on TV broadcast when you're watching. Every fairway is sloped, every green is way more slopey than it even appears on the broadcast, and it's just an incredible property and definitely deserving of its world ranking and its on its legacy. So let's talk about the man himself, Wyndham Clark wins the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. His second win this year, his second U.S. Open win, magnum opus. What a week from Wyndham Clark. Shoots a 64 on Thursday. We're going to have to talk about this 64. Was it a legit 64? Toby, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way they set up the course, they had to be a little cautious just because last Open, everyone was like, "Oh, it got out of hand, whatnot." So they were also expecting like 50-mile-an-hour winds, something crazy like that. And so I feel like they set it up a little easier. And then obviously they were wadding the greens. And in the afternoon, Wyndham Clark got like an hour or two window where there was no wind. Greens were pretty soft, like people were throwing darts, and also was just in a good pairing. And they were just like all three of them were. I mean, I think at one point they were all 1, 2, 3. So obviously Wyndham got great conditions. My initial opinions on that were it was a little. I mean, the USGA, like I'm not gonna diss the USGA. I think they set up the course very well. I think the only issue is the weather didn't cooperate, and that's what led to this. Which, I mean, you could say in any other tournament too. Like the weather's obviously going to impact different groups differently. So yeah, I'm not going to place fault on the USGA.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it wasn't even the wind that caused the delay on Thursday. It was foggy conditions in the morning that pushed everyone's tee times back 2 hours, which then allowed the Wyndham, DJ, and Woodland group, and along with I think it was the Fitzpatrick group, Fitzy, Bryson, and Hovland. I think five of those six guys were like got to 2 under on Thursday, only because they played right up until dusk on Thursday when there was no wind, as Toby mentioned. And they kind of got all of their, I guess, good holes for the week out of the way right there. As you can see, Wyndham finished the week at 4 under, and he shot 6 under for Thursday. So, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it now. Wyndham Clark is a worthy champion, but you definitely wonder how the tournament ends up if there wasn't the weird delay on Thursday. A couple other guys, of course, Sam Burns made a valiant charge on Sunday. We were all pulling for him in the group that I was watching with. I'm sure just about every other American, anyone around the country was also cheering for Sam Burns, which is a rare occasion because he's not the most popular, charismatic guy. But we were all with Sam Burns on Sunday, and he unfortunately fell just a little bit short. So, if you want to walk us through his back nine there?
Yeah, that was pretty special. I mean, honestly, front nine kind of put him in that position. And yeah, it really came down to last three holes for Sam Burns. He was right there in the mix. Wyndham, I mean, the whole day it looked like Wyndham was he was bound to choke. He was missing greens, missing fairways, and Sam Burns was charging, sinks the putt on 16, which was crazy. I don't know, it must have been like a 30-footer. We were going nuts,
I've never seen Sam Burns show that much emotion either.
and then sticks it so close on 17 and leaves the putt short. Like the one thing you can't do is leave the putt short. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I still had faith. I was like, you still got 18 to play. Wyndham still hitting it terribly. And yeah, Sandburn steps up, hits it right inside of Keith Mitchell's ball, gets a perfect read on 18 from like 15 feet. And the entire time that putt was going in, I was like, all right, this got to be bottom of the cup, best putter in the world. And it misses right. And yeah, as soon as that happened, we were like, it's over. That honestly was probably the most sad I've been watching a golf tournament on TV.
Yeah, I think Sam Burns taps in for his 3 under for the tournament. And at this point, Wyndham Clark's at 5 under. So that's why everyone still felt like it was probably done and dusted. Wyndham Clark, US Open champion. But Wyndham does hit his ball to the front right section of the 17th green, and he three putts kind of unexpectedly. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on that moment because he knows he just needs to get it to the clubhouse at 4 under or better. He does three putt on 17, goes to the tee at 18, hits his wifey pull cut, whatever you want to call it, slice, classic Wyndham on 18 moment. Did it at LACC, did it at the CJ Cup this year. Hits his wifey cut. Everyone in the room I was with was cheering for it to go further right into the longer stuff, but it does find the first cut of rough, I guess. Still pretty thick stuff, but he does find a pretty decent lie, expects a flyer. And as soon as he makes contact, he's like immediately shaking his head, looks down at the ground. We can hear the caddy's mic say, we can hear Wyndham on the caddy's mic say, it didn't jump. And even if it didn't jump, it still gets to the front edge, and it's another 50-footer, 2 putts to win the U.S. Open, and he stiffs it to like 3 inches, no sweat whatsoever. So yeah, Wyndham taps in, hugs his father on the 18th green on Father's Day. Honestly, pretty great moment. He does have a great interview as well with Mike Tirico. Tirico did a great job to kind of like alley-oop him into a successful interview where he can, 1, defend himself, 2, apologize, 3, express his, he called it love for the New York fans, but we'll get into that in a second. But that does bring Wyndham Clark to 2 major championships in his career. He's now the 8th ranked golfer in the world. Pretty incredible turnaround from, I think he was over 100th in the world last year at one point. But he is your 2023 and 2026 U.S. Open champion, bringing his major count to a total of 2, more than some of the guys we know and love on this tour. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Gary Woodland, Cam Smith, Patrick Reed, Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Jason Day. It's these names that Wyndham Clark now has more majors than. I don't know what to say about it, but he knows how to play when it's a major Sunday. So let's cover a couple more moments from this tournament. Let's talk about Keith Mitchell and his visor. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about Keith Mitchell's 4 rounds of even par. And you want to talk about his Thursday round, Toby?
Yeah, Keith Mitchell, front 9, 41 on Thursday. He had 1 foot in the plane going back home and decides to shoot a back 9, 29 at Shinnecock, which is no easy feat. I don't know if you have the stat, but he gained an incredible amount of strokes on that back 9 and shot an even par of 70. One of the wildest scorecards I think we've seen in a major. More than that, too, 4 even rounds of 70 for the tournament, which has never been done in major history. So yeah, that was crazy. And another thing too is he was right in the mix. Like, obviously he had never really put himself in a position like that before. So who knows how he was going to react. And I think he played pretty well, honestly. Never really made the push to really get into true contention, but yeah, great tournament from Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, and I think as Toby asked for the stat, I think Keith Mitchell gained 9.2 strokes to the field on that 9 holes, back 9, which is like the second or third best ever set of 9 holes a player's ever played, which makes sense because it's a U.S. Open. You're not supposed to even really break par. So when a guy like Keith goes out there and gets it done with a 29, it's gonna be one of the better 9s ever played. But there was another player we do need to talk about their week, and it's Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin Niemann, live golfer, is not known to be a good golfer when it comes to major championships, but he does finish T7 this week, and he did it in a very interesting way. A lot of these guys, they kind of hovered around what their final score was all week, but we do see Niemann, I'm pulling it up here, shoot a Sunday 66, of course, 4 under. Very, very nicely done. But when we go to his first round, we see on hole six, he makes an 11. Let's pull up his performance on hole 11. Hole six, I apologize. Here we go. All right.
Oh my goodness.
First tee ball off the face of the planet. It's his provisional off the planet. And then now he's getting a little bit frustrated, a little bit upset with himself. It is Thursday at a major championship. He knows he has not been great in his career at majors, and he decides to chuck his club. I actually haven't seen the clip. I don't know how bad it actually was, but apparently he threw it pretty far, and USGA was not happy about it. They stroked him. The USGA was stroking dudes, 2 strokes to Niemann. So he hits his 8th shot after he tees off for the 3rd time and makes an 11 on Thursday, but rallies on Friday, makes the cut, and then gets himself to a T7 come Sunday. So you could argue Niemann was even the first best player this week, minus the 11 he made. And we'll see what he does at the Open and the majors next year. But he definitely had a good performance this week, despite the little incident he had. Another guy we do have to cover is Tom Kim, Tom Sim, TGL legend. Toby, I know you're a big fan of Tom. Shoots a Sunday even round of par. A lot of birdies, a lot of bogeys. Any thoughts there about Tom's week?
Yeah. Tom Kim, 2022, 2023, burst onto the scene. Honestly, at that point in time, we were like, this guy has the potential to win majors. Kind of got hurt, I think, and fell off, went as low as like 140th in the world golf ranking, and then has been popping up this year. Puts himself in contention for the first time. And there was a lot of haters saying like, oh, he's about to shoot a million over on Sunday. I think this is a pretty solid round. Obviously, didn't get the job done, but he hung in there, made some crucial putts, putt on 16, got him to 2 under, and you were like, okay, he has a chance, could birdie 17, 18, tie Sam Burns in the clubhouse. Obviously does not get that done. But yeah, I think a solid round out of Tom Kim just gives him a lot of confidence for the rest of the year that he's kind of back to where he was, and can go compete in tournaments, especially big ones. Yeah, I think Tom Kim's a guy to look out for the rest of the year.
Tom Kim is also known to play better at, I guess you could call it Link C or open style courses, which Shinnecock definitely falls into that category, at least as far as American courses go. So people do have high expectations for Tom Kim at the Open come July. The last guy I want to touch on for the US Open is Scotty Scheffler. He does get himself into contention after a crappy round on Thursday by his standards. Scotty does shoot a 72 on Thursday in the bad wave when the wind was whipping, but he does claw his way back to even par Friday, makes the cut, shoots 1 under on Saturday, and he puts himself firmly in contention, minus the fact that Wyndham Clark is at 7 under. And then Sunday Scheffler was not good this week. Let's see what his scorecard is looking like. Bogeys 1, which completely took the wind out of his sail. As you could tell, he was, frustrated beyond all get out. And he shoots 1 over in the front, even on the back, never really challenges Wyndham. And that's why the people started cheering for Sam Burns. Yeah, Scheffler, bad Sunday performance. He's going to get his US Open one day, but it was not to be this week. Scheffler did earn his way into the final group on Sunday with Wyndham, and it was one of the more eerie final groupings I've ever seen. Wyndham Clark would hit his ball towards a green, it would land, and as soon as it starts trickling off the green, the fans would erupt and they would be screaming bloody Mary when his ball starts trickling off a green. The crowd was clearly pro Scheffler, anti Wyndham, and it just lasted all day. It was kind of like nothing I've ever seen before for an American golfer on American soil at the United States Open. The fans did not want Wyndham to win. Toby, any thoughts about, like, is this okay? Is this what a New York major should be? We know what Wyndham's done in the past, but he is still a golfer. He's still playing by the rules. He's playing with Scheffler. What are your thoughts there?
First off, general etiquette, probably not the best. There were a couple people who got kicked out too. I think that's probably fair. Just cheering every single time after any golfer is hitting a shot and you're just yelling, go in the bunker, or just cheering at the top of your lungs when it rolls off a green. Not the best etiquette. With that being said, I've heard some backlash saying like never host another Long Island tournament, stuff like that. Kind of with regards to the Ryder Cup at Bethpage as well. I mean, I disagree with that. I think that's a bit of an over exaggeration. I think Long Island fans, especially Long Island golf fans, are very passionate. And I think that's something that, obviously it's negative in if you're in Wyndham shoes, but I think you can take positives just from the passion surrounding the sport. Yeah. And also, like, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are professional athletes playing for millions of dollars. Like, I mean, I really liked Wyndham's interview at the end saying like, thank you to all the New York fans. He was kind of like, he knew he was getting a lot of hate and embraced that. And I love that. Like, he had thick skin the entire day. He fought. Yeah, even when his game wasn't that good, it was kind of hanging on by a thread. He just ignored the haters, kind of used that as fuel. And I love that. Like, yeah, there's like, obviously golf is an etiquette based game, but at the end of the day, they're professional athletes. They can deal with it. I love the passion. I love it. I think Long Island is a great host for major tournaments, especially Shinnecock. Keep this rolling. I want Shinnecock every year. Honestly, it was spectacular.
Yes, it was. And we're getting Shinnecock in 2036, but I do want to say my final thoughts on Wyndham and his US Open, his second US Open. I think that was one of the more impressive Sunday rounds of golf I've ever seen. The amount of hatred pouring into Wyndham from the crowd was unlike anything I've ever seen. And he was 3 over through 6 holes. And I honestly thought in the moment he could shoot 80 and just not even finish top 10. But he did battle through the, I guess, the away crowd, you could call it. And it was very impressive. He hit those pull cuts on every hole. He knew he couldn't go left, so he would just keep ripping the pull cuts. He would wipe them onto the green. And honestly, I think hole 10 was the most impressive hole of the day for Wyndham. Everybody was hitting irons off the tee. I think Sam Burns and Keith Mitchell went before him, and they both had 160 and 180 yards in, respectively. And Keith Mitchell couldn't hit the green from that number. I think Burns hit it to 30 feet. But Wyndham steps up. He shoots 3 over on the front, hasn't made a birdie all day, hits his driver, smokes it, perfect little pull cut, low ball flight, finds the fairway 60 yards to the pin, and he hits this unbelievable flighted flop shot almost with his 60 degree. And he gets it to spin back like 10 feet, and nobody had been spinning the ball all day. Everyone had been laying up to a longer number, and he knocks it in from 4 feet to get his first birdie of the day, to settle his nerves, and to eventually end up winning him his second US Open. But that does bring us to the turn. Let's make the turn, Toby. There was a huge announcement today by Brian Rolap and the PGA Tour, and I believe Tiger was there as well. Yeah, do you want to walk us through what happened today?
Yeah, crazy. I literally just opened my phone this morning and saw every single golf account I follow post this, and yeah, read through most of it. I think this is going to be great. Actually, to give just a little bit of a background. So obviously the PGA Tour had been getting a little bit of backlash for the signature events, these 70-person fields with no cut. Obviously the best players were playing in them, but no cut. Didn't feel like there was a lot at stake. And so kind of in response to that, they came out with a two-tiered system, almost similar to like soccer leagues in Europe. So there's the championship tour, which is 120 of the best players playing every week. Yeah. And I think with cuts, top 65 and ties. And that'll include the majors players, obviously like the Ryder Cup. I think this is great. I think this is honestly 5 times better than the signature event. Not only are we getting the top 70, we're getting the top 120 with a cut every single week when they're competing. Though like every week is going to feel like a major, honestly. And then there's obviously going to be a challenger tour or a challenger series, I think they're calling it, in which, yeah, it'll be the next like 140 golfers And there'll be like this promotion relegation sort of vibe. So top 20 from the Challenger Series will then get promoted to the Championship Series the next year. And I also just like how this creates like such a performance based system that if you're not competing at the highest level, you're just going to get relegated. Like that's how I think it just creates this little bit of pressure too. Yeah, another thing of note is the new markets that they're looking to expand to. I think personally, as someone from the Northeast, obviously we have the Travelers, but not a lot of other events. And the one thing that the tour is not doing that good of a job of now is just kind of grouping every like 4 tournament stretch in the same area. So you have like the California swing, the Florida swing, the Texas swing, and obviously there's some good courses in there, but you look at the Texas swing, honestly, 3 of those tournaments are pretty terrible besides the Colonial. So yeah, I like that they're expanding into new markets. You get to look at different types of golf courses. Obviously, Northeast, you've got a bunch of great golf courses. Then Denver, we've seen some events there, like the BMW Championship a couple years back. Philly's got great courses. Even SF, where they have a California swing, don't include any of the SF courses, like Olympic. Obviously, that's a major venue, but there's a bunch of nice courses up there. Seattle, I would love if they brought it back to Chambers Bay. Yeah, so a lot to look forward to with that. And then also probably the biggest part of this whole thing is the postseason, which also has been getting a lot of, like people don't really respect the Tour Championship anymore. It's just like a 30-person event. Obviously, Tommy Fleetwood won it, and you could claim that like, oh, he only wins small field events like that. Like, I don't know. They've toggled with like starting the leaders 10 under par and then switch that to just everyone starts the same. It just wasn't, they kept changing things and nothing really stuck. I think also they had a match play event a couple years back that they got rid of, and that was one of the most fun events to watch every year. So that brings us to the new look postseason with match play, round of 32. I think the way, they haven't decided on it fully, but I think the way they're going to do it is just get the top 32 point scores from the season and then do a similar tournament to what they had been doing. So you'll have a group stage where round robin, you'll have 3 different matches. Top 2 golfers from each group will then move on to a round of 16. And then from there, it's just single elimination, the best players in the world going at it, match play. Like, there genuinely is nothing better than that. I'm so fired up for this. I think this is going to be insane. And to add on top of that, they're looking at changing the courses they're going to play this at. So obviously Eastlake it's a nice track, but nothing crazy as far as prestige goes. And yeah, they announced that they're looking to get the likes of Cypress Point, Pine Valley. What was the other one? Oh, Seminole. Yeah, so I think this is going to be insane. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is awesome. I think the Tour Championship has been pretty poor content-wise, entertainment-wise the past few years. I'm a pretty big Tommy Fleetwood, I guess, hater. So I still wouldn't count his Tour Championship as anything more than a Tour Championship. I wouldn't call it a PGA Tour win, which that could be debated. But the new system Brian Brolab is introducing in 2028, I think is perfect. He did say they are going to honor a regular season champion as well. So obviously, if you have a bad match, you're not going to be just your whole season's not going to come down to one bad match. So they are going to honor the full season champion first and then go into these match play events at these prestigious venues, which I will believe when I see. I'm not 100% sure, unless these conversations have already happened between the Tour and Cypress and Seminole and Pine Valley. If these conversations haven't happened yet and they're just kind of assuming, the Tour's just kind of assuming that they can get onto these venues, I think they've got something coming for them. I don't know if the membership at these clubs, one, would have fans out. So that's the first step is, can you even bring fans to these unbelievably private clubs? I think the answer to that is no. And 2, are you going to have the tour guys just go out there, no fans, just kind of going at it 1v1? I don't know if that's good for viewership. So we'll see how this ends up working in 2028. Right now, I'm leaning No way they play Pine Valley. No way they play Seminole. No way they play Cypress. But I do think they'll play somewhere, and the match play is going to be great. And I think that's the truest form of golf is 1v1 match play. So that does bring us to the next turn. We're making one more turn on this pod today. We are going to be making the turn to the Travelers. Toby and I are pretty busy this week, so we aren't going to do our normal full breakdown. But very quickly, TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. Toby and I have both been to this course before to watch this event, so we do love this course. It is near and dear to our hearts. Par 70, 6,800 yards, a very signature feel to this event. Obviously, no cut, 70 dudes. The course plays very easy. Its winning score is always usually between minus 15 to minus 25. I believe Keegan Bradley has won 2 of the last 3 years with Scheffler sandwiched in between. And at this course, as you can see, it is a driving accuracy test. You do not have to hit the ball far. You do not have to putt that well. You have to hit the fairways, which are skinnier than the average tour fairway. And you do have to hit good approach shots, which seems to be a theme every week. But especially at this course, when driving accuracy is paramount, you do need to hit these fairways. You do need to hit these greens, and you do have to make your fair share of putts to get your score to the minus 20 area. So that being said, let's see who Toby and I think we can target this week, given these things we know about the course. Toby, you want to start us off with a couple of matchups? Actually, let's talk about last week. We had some great call-outs in the finishing position category. We did have Fleetwood, Hatton, and Sahith Theegala to finish top 20, and all 3 of those guys did it with ease. I believe 2 of the 3 of them finished top 10 as well. So if you could get those in, good for you. But that does bring us to this week. Once again, this is not financial advice. Toby and I do our research and we give out the best plays possible, we think, but you do have to make your own decisions. Yeah, first matchup, Toby, go ahead.
Yeah, this one's an easy one in my opinion. Just looking at that course description, driving accuracy is going to be paramount, and Aaron Rai, guy for the job. Also over Robert McIntyre, who hasn't had the best season. He always seems like he's fighting his golf swing. Good short game, but always fighting his swing. Easy one. Give me Aaron Rai over Robert McIntyre. And yeah, you mentioned Keegan Bradley has had good history here. Obviously, this is the Northeast Gem. This is the Northeast tournament. And who's the Northeast golfer that you always think of? Give me Keegan Bradley.
He's from Vermont, but
Northeast. Yeah, I'm gonna go Keegan Bradley over Harris English. This one hurts me a little. I love Harry E. He's been playing super well, but I just think Keegan Bradley, he's had good history here, and the fans just love him. Like this is his home game as a home game could get. Give me Keegan Bradley over Harris English. And yeah, Jordan, tell me about your picks this week.
yeah, so I'm going with Justin Thomas over Patrick Cantlay at minus 105 this week. Justin Thomas has been trending upwards for about a month or month and a half now. Patrick Cantlay has been, I guess, plateauing he usually finishes like 18th every week, which is, I mean, he's making money, but he's not doing anything outstanding. He's not contending in any of these events. But I think Justin Thomas is ready to pop. I've been on this guy for a couple weeks now, and I think it is time he gets in contention and stays there throughout the weekend and maybe just wins it. And then my other pick is Matt Fitzpatrick over Cameron Young. This one is purely speculative. I think Cameron Young is hurt and he's playing through it. I think he's stubborn. I think he needs to take a couple weeks off before the Open. We did see Cam Young with a lot of tape on he does the wrist tape no matter what, but he did have extra tape last week in the practice rounds at the US Open. I think he's playing through something and he's not been himself recently. I believe it's been 3 40th place finishes in a row. And prior to that, Cam Young was a top 10 lock every week. So I think purely speculative, I think Matt Fitzpatrick will beat Cam Young just because of that injury. Finishing positions for this week, we have a top 20 and a top 10 from Toby. You want to talk us through those?
I'll start off with friend of the podcast, Siwoo Kim. I feel like I'm putting this guy in the blueprint every single week, and it seems like he always performs. Obviously, last week was not his week, but I'm going to stick with the boy, Siwoo Kim, top 10. Yeah, like you said earlier, this course just fits driving accuracy and approach. and that is Siwoo Kim's game. So give me Siwoo Kim top 10. Um, and to follow it up, I'll go Justin Rose top 20. Justin Rose has been hitting his approach as well past couple of weeks. And I think these greens are a bit easier than the average tour green. So I'm looking for Justin Rose to find his putter this week. Give me him at top 20. And yeah, I'm curious what you have to say about Russell Henley. I think in my opinion, Russell Henley is perfect for the tough events where the score is -5 or like -10 area. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Russell Henley?
The Russ bus did go scorched earth at Colonial, but I think this event, even though it is high scoring, as Toby did mention, or I guess you could say low scoring, closer to -20 being the winner. Russell Henley did finish tied for second place last year behind Keegan with Tommy Fleetwood, and people forget about this. I think they were playing in threesomes because of the weather last year on Sunday. Henley chips in on 18 to get himself that share of second place. And yeah, it's a perfect course for Henley because he just hits fairways. And then he's one of the top 15, 20 approach players on tour year after year. I think Henley will hit his fairways. I think he'll hit his approach shots decently close. And he just has to make his fair share of putts to get himself that top 10 finish. But my favorite play this week is Tom Hoagie to finish in the top 40. Once again, this is a 72 player field, and Tom Hoagie is one of the top five wedge players in the world. I won't give him credit for anything else, but he is a top five wedge player in the world, and you're going to have a lot of wedges at TPC River Highlands. Give me Tom Hoagie to hit his wedges really tight all week, make his putts, and finish in the top 40, which is not even the top half of the field. Tom Hoagie could finish 38th and cash this bet for us at plus money. Me personally, I don't think any golfer should be plus money to finish top 40 in a 72-man event, just probabilistically. So that does bring us to our outrights for the week. Toby went with a couple of the favorites. I have a couple long shots for you guys. Let's start with the long shots. Give me Sepp Straka at plus 8,600 to win this week. This one is purely a bet on talent spot. I don't know why Straka would ever be plus 8,600 in a 70-man field. He's one of the better approach players in the world. He hasn't been playing great recently, so this is purely, once again, speculative. I think at a number this high, you have to bet Sepp Straka just because we've seen what he's done before in loaded fields. And I think he may not play well this week. He may play great, but that's just a number you have to bet. And then give me Sahith Theegala. Sahith Theegala at 69 to 1. Sahith Theegala was the only player in the top 10 last week of the US Open to lose strokes putting, which is a pretty big indictment on his game at this point. Losing strokes putting and finishing top 10 at the US Open is very impressive. He was clearly one of the better approach players all week. He hit fairways. And I mean, those greens were tough last week. They were bumpy. The aeration was still clearly visible on some of the greens. But Theegala finishing top 10, losing strokes putting, very impressive. Maybe he puts to a zero this week and we'll see him reclaim the throne. But that covers the long shots for the week. Toby, give us two of the favorites and why you think they should be favorites.
I think Tommy Fleetwood's an easy one. Kind of had heartbreak last year, losing to Keegan Bradley. But he played super well. And that was before he had got that tour championship win under his belt. He had the pressure built up. It seems like this guy should have 30 PGA Tour wins by now. He only has one, but I think that just kind of gives him the confidence going back to this place to get the job done this year. And yeah, Colin Morikawa, another one of those guys, played very well last week. Good off the tee, good in approach. Yeah, again, hasn't found his putter really, but look to this week. You're getting wedges into greens, receptive greens. Look for him to be sticking them tight and get his putter heated up. So yeah, Colin Morikawa at plus 3,100.
I love that Colin play. Colin did actually putt pretty fantastically at Shinnecock. So Colin should never be 31 to 1 in this field when his putter is going well. But that does bring us to our single entry lineups on DraftKings this week. How are we attacking the slate, Toby? Start me off with your lineup.
Yeah, just gonna piggyback off what I just said. Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa. just looking at this pricing for this week, you could get after a 9K and 10K range and still have a pretty solid lineup just because it's a signature event. You got to price someone lower. And I'm looking at those two guys. And following that up, Aaron Rye, like I said earlier, good at finding fairways. I think he'll do solid. Don't think he's going to win, but I could see him in top 10 easily. Yeah, another, another guy who played well last week, Brian Harmon. I think you mentioned this, but he has had a great course history here. You want to back me up with that one?
Of course, Brian Harmon has the lowest cumulative score to par the past 5 years at TPC River Highlands of any player, and that includes Scotty Scheffler. Let's pull up his profile just really quick to show you guys this. Brian Harmon, select courses, TPC River Highlands. Oh, I gotta get rid of the majors too. Brian Harmon at TPC River Highlands. Look at that history. He finished 8th last year solo, T9 the year before, T2 and T8, T5. It's just a sprinkling of incredible performances. I mean, he missed the cut in 2020 when there was a cut at this event, but other than that, it is top 10s galore. I don't think I've ever seen a golfer play this well at the same event, at the same course, year after year, maybe ever. So I think that is a great play. Brian Harmon in Toby's lineup this week. And then you have two guys in the 7K range, Jordan Spieth and Sam Stevens. What do you want to say about those guys?
Yeah, kind of going off that course history too. Jordan Spieth is obviously one here. I think he's spent enough weeks kind of in the media getting the coverage of like, oh, are you back yet? Are you back yet? And he's saying, yeah, I'm back. Like, this is me. I'm ready to compete. I think just a comfortable place to have won at is perfect for Jordan Spieth. And at 7,600, give me Jordan Spieth. Sam Stevens played great last week. Actually was just right in contention at one point in the tournament. And I've also another one of those guys that every time I seem to choose him in fantasy, he does me well. So I'm going to stick with Sam Stevens at a low ownership. Yeah, run me through your Scotty lineup.
Yeah, I'd never make Scotty lineups, but this week is an exception. I'm going with a Scotty build. I think this week's actually the perfect week to build a Scotty lineup. We haven't had a no cut event in a while. So I think you can get to Scotty with some of these guys that can't miss the cut no matter what. So they're gonna get their birdie fantasy points. They're gonna make eagles if they're lucky. And yeah, so we're going Scotty at $14,000. And then we're getting to five guys that are just known for their approach. I don't have too much to say about each guy individually, but it is a collection of five dudes that hit their approaches tight, that can get hot with the putter. And yeah, I think that's if Scotty wins this event and you get five guys that hit their approaches well all week, that's going to be a good lineup. And you're getting some guys at lower ownership too. Tom Hoagie, as I said, for the top 40, that is a great play this week if he hits his wedges as well as he is known to. But yeah, give me that lineup to do well this week. And that does bring us to the end of the Making the Turn podcast this week. Toby, any final thoughts on the U.S. Open, the new PGA Tour schedule in 2028? Anything about Travelers? Any thoughts there?
Yeah. First off, want to give a shout out to the fans. You guys have been great supporting the podcasts. And I think this is a great time for golf. Honestly, just going to the U.S. Open last week at Shinnecock was just super fun. Just made me love the game of golf even more. And then you back that up with the Travelers, which is such a fun event. Means a little more to us because we're from the Northeast. But even the players have always said that they love this event. And on top of that, we get this news of the PGA Tour making significant changes for 2028, which in my opinion, all seem pretty good. So yeah, I think the game of golf is heading in a great direction. Pro golf is kind of approaching its peak. It's definitely back. Game's expanding. Yeah, I love where the game of golf is, and I think we're right in the middle of a great season, and so could not be more excited for the rest of the season to pan out.
And a couple more shout outs. We do have two giveaway winners that have received their giveaways from Shinny. Shout out to both the Tims, actually. We gave away a U.S. Open Shinny hat to Tim M and a U.S. Open Shinny koozie to Tim R. Congrats to those guys. But that does bring us to the end of the Making the Turn podcast for the week. Thank you all so much for watching. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us at Making the Turn. We will see you next week.